these guys are our best friends, you know, and it means a lot that someone else recognizes that and is trying to help us out. Like, we don't want, in the line of their job, we want them to live long lives and stuff like that. So it really does mean a lot that these guys are out here. They're trying to make this program nationwide. They're trying to get it to as many people as they can. So we.
All right, let's get through the PowerPoint because I know you want to say more dogs. So, Nevada Operational Canine Medical Group was started officially about 7 months ago. It's been in its inception for about the last 2 years, a little over 2 years. And it honestly started with me sending a bunch of random emails looking for a vet that wanted to come teach at a CE symposium for a bunch of firefighters and paramedics that needed continuing education credits, that also had a bunch of interest in, hey, how do we take care of these dogs? I think it's honestly something that gets looked over a lot, is we see the dogs or we see canine, but you always hear the dog barking, so nobody ever realizes that that is a tool and they're the partner for the handler. So how do we take care of them if something happens? So Dr. McConnell was unfortunate enough to answer my email and came to instruct. We did a cadaver lab and did a full week of canine training with multiple agencies, so on and so forth. Then that quickly took off, and Tim has been involved from the inception as well. Took off, we all sat down and said, hey, we did all this training, but there really is no mechanism anywhere across the nation for fire and EMS providers to treat and or transport these dogs. So I'll give you a little bit more history as we go through the slideshow, but can everybody see this okay? I know it's kind of not the best, but. So our motto is kind of protecting those that protect us. The law enforcement community is paws before boots, meaning that they are going to sacrifice that dog before a human life. So we're going to talk about Canine Enzo. Canine Enzo is a metropolitan police dog out of Las Vegas. And he was injured March 17th of 2024, I believe. So we'll come back to him here in just a second. So we've already introduced ourselves. Sorry, I can't see this. Our mission is pretty simple. We want to increase the survivability rate for all these dogs in the event they get hurt or injured in the line of duty. Part of that is equipping the dog with the handler with the knowledge, skill, and ability and the equipment to truly take care of their dog. But then on the other side is treating and transporting that dog. So we have to train all the firefighters and paramedics, flight crews, etc., to treat and transport these dogs, most importantly, to the most appropriate facility. If you cut your fingers off on a table saw, you're probably not going to go see your primary doctor, right? You're going to want to go to a facility that can take care of whatever injury that you have the most efficiently and quickly as they possibly can with the specialists. Lucky enough for us, Dr. McConnell's hospital is the only hospital in Northern Nevada that it has that capability. It is a true 24-hour facility. So just coincidentally, that's kind of what has happened. This is a picture of Tim. I know you guys can't really see it that well, but Tim was deployed for 3 weeks to Texas during the floods with Mecco and your team. So I'll let Tim talk about his experiences. I don't want to take that away from him, but we'll keep going with the slideshow. To date, these are all the agencies that we have trained, equipped, and had interaction with as far as law enforcement goes. 21 different agencies, including the U.S. Navy, BLM, U.S. Forest Service, DEA, and all of the local, state, county, and local agencies in Northern Nevada. We are, I guess I should back up. We are a nonprofit organization in the state of Nevada. So we are completely private donor funded currently. To date, we've been able to field 100 bags. I'll talk about the bags here in just a minute. So operational canines at work. You guys, this actually worked out really well. You guys got to hear Jared and Chase talk about kind of what their dogs do. I'm going to let Tim talk very briefly right now about what his dog does, just so you understand the wide variety of what these dogs actually do.
So we have the police dogs that are apprehension, narcotics. We have military dogs that are bomb detection dogs. And on the other side of it, where we work is for FEMA with urban search and rescue. So we have our canines. We carry 2 types, a live find that finds people that are alive. And then we carry HRD dogs, and those assets are used as a recovery dog. Ours is a little different to where we're out in the field. We can be out there for up to 21 days and then be requested for longer. We don't have definitive care right next to us while we're out in the field. We could be out there for 10 hours a day before we get picked back up and dropped off at our boo. So having this program implemented in our line of work is absolutely necessary. We, as handlers, be able to address any sort of major injuries or illnesses with the dog immediately, and we need to have other people with us, other responders with us that are trained. With the dogs, when they get injured, we hope the handler's there to help, but if the handler's injured or the handler is irrational because his dog was just injured, we need other people there to be able to assess and treat the situation.
And our training that we provide is all encompassing. We set up the logistical support for the organizations. We train fire and EMS how to not only treat the dog, because medicine is medicine, but we also teach them how to secure the dog. You guys saw Joker. Joker is actually a big, lovey puppy until he's trying to go to work, right? And or if he's injured. So we train everybody how to safely restrain, muzzle, and sedate the dogs. So it's more than just the medicine. It's all encompassing. If Chase isn't there to help with Joker, we're going to give those fire and EMS providers the confidence and capability to save that dog. They do everything. So, I think this is the video. Okay, bear with me on these videos. We're going to see how these work. This is Canine Enzo. If I can get it to play. I might have to do it this way. Vegas to basically apprehend a suicidal subject. Canine Enzo went onto the bite and was stabbed multiple times. And then we're gonna kind of watch, if I can get it to play, it was playing last night. About a 3-minute video, and I apologize because it is a little bit graphic, but I do think that it very much solidifies our mission and why we're doing what we're doing. Now, will the sound work? Hang on. Sorry, this was all working and now it's not. But I do want you guys to be able to hear what is actually being said. That speaker shot. Okay, that's why it wasn't working. Okay, let's see if this works.
We're trained to mitigate a situation the best we can with the resources we have. Right now, with there being no standard practices in place, what you'll see here is a canine that gets injured in the line of duty. And the best the first responders can do is try to stabilize the dog with no formal training, package it into a transport, however that's by ambulance, air, and then get it to a hospital. Ultimately, we're gonna do whatever we can to try to save that dog's life, but with a standardized approach, instead of just taking that dog, throwing it into a rig and getting it somewhere, you can assess the dog, start treating the dog, and then transport the dog to the right facility. In our case in Northern Nevada, we're gonna go to Kate's hospital because she's able to address that situation the best out of anyone up here. So our goal is to take what happens in this video and improve it.
So you stabilize the dog as best you can, and then you fly it to her, where, like if you're in Vegas, you're gonna fly the dog
So once
to Reno.
our goal is to regionalize up here first and get a standardized approach here, and then implement our program down south. Best practices at that point would be to utilize a trauma facility, animal trauma facility somewhere down south.
Oh, there is one in there.
There is.
Okay.
Las Vegas is the next closest. So, thanks for taking that, Tim. So, what you're going to see here is there is no mechanism, just like Tim was talking about, there is no mechanism for these dogs to be treated. So you're gonna see that they're gonna basically scoop him up, toss him in the back of a cop car, and drive 100 miles an hour to a vet. Not the appropriate hospital. So, and then I'll talk kind of about why this happens. Can everybody hear that?
Right here, right here.
One of our canine officers was severely injured, and everybody needed to act in order to save our canine dog's life. They all rallied behind each other, and they understood what they needed to do. Multiple officers from multiple different areas, man. SWAT, canine, patrol, flex team, officers without hesitation knew what to do, knew how to respond, knew how to shut down traffic, and they did that. And ultimately, that's what saved Enzo's life. That quick thinking of the area to offer that up, and then everybody being willing to allow that to happen and to make it happen without any delay. They said, okay, we're gonna go ahead and come down. They are one of ours. They're instrumental to the way we do police and how they protect us on a daily basis. Of course, we're gonna go above and beyond to ensure that they are safe and they get the medical attention that they need to survive. We are going to treat them as they are one of us. There's no doubt about it. And we did that day. And again, I can't thank full vets for what they did. Without them, Enzo wouldn't be here today.
So I believe Canine Enzo is actually back to work. So there was a ton of, I don't know how to get back to my PowerPoint. We now exist. What was the one missing piece? That dog never got any care, other than when it got to the hospital. No bandaging to stop the bleeding, no ability to take its airway if it became unresponsive, no ability to start an IV, give it fluids, give it drugs to help it coagulate and clot, pain control. I believe he was stabbed 17 times. So with all of that, he never got any treatment until he got to the vet. But when he got to the vet, no knock. It's like going to an urgent care when you cut your leg off. It's not the appropriate facility. But law enforcement, although these guys get trained to do basic care for their dogs, those of us that work in fire and EMS every day, up until I went overseas, I had never worked on a dog. I didn't even know it was a thing. So now we're putting a mechanism in place It doesn't matter what fire department, career, volunteer, paramedic, not paramedic, we're gonna train everybody to take care of these dogs. 1,200 providers in the northern part of Nevada that we're gearing up to train. So Canine Enzo is back to work after almost a year, I believe. So how do we do this? Yeah,
What does that do to a dog's psychology?
Doc?
What is it? Do they have to be trained, or just go at it easy, or?
I'm gonna let Dr.
Yeah.
McConnell, Dr. McConnell's sitting on the floor because she's hitting the button for that.
Some dogs, this would be retirable, not because of the injuries, but because of the damage. They're gonna be more defensive. So they might not be willing to out if they're sent to a bite. They might not be willing to go onto a bite at all. The thing to remember though is that when these dogs are in drive, which is a term we use when they are in work, that's all they're focused on, they often have huge pain thresholds and they're not really processing, for like lack of a better word. So a lot of the time these dogs are so resilient that they can have a fairly negative experience and still go back to work.
And then they do have to be, for lack of better terms, recertified to make sure that they can, because we're giving them narcotics in the field that can have an effect on their scent receptors and those kind of things, because we are giving them pharmaceutical narcotics in the field. And the reality is in Nevada as a whole, we're a rural state. If something like Chase mentioned earlier, he could be 3 hours by flight away from his closest help. So giving Chase the knowledge, skill, and ability as a handler to take care of LJ further increases LJ's survivability rate, knowing that it's going to take a long time for any of the medical flight services to get there. And then once they get there, they can fly any of the canines back into Reno. We're working to establish an LZ at her hospital. We already have some mechanisms in place to where, a landing zone. We're actually establishing a landing zone near her hospital so that aircraft can land right there. Right now, they'll land at our fire station at the airport. And then we will use one of the Reno Fire ambulances to transport the dog. So there is already a mechanism in place to get these dogs to definitive care at Dr. McConnell's hospital.
Is our hospital in Reno?
It is.
What happened to the victim?
Who cares?
Their human counterparts to come and learn from us, and we're more than happy to teach. There are quite a bit of laws in place that practicing veterinary medicine without a license is a huge offense. And so, do they have some of the skills? Yes. Is a lot of it translational? Yes. But things like medication dosing, even the way dogs bleed is very different compared to people. So general anatomy is very similar. There's a lot of cross-pollination with the drugs that we use, but it still is different enough that I wouldn't recommend someone that hasn't been through pretty intensive training to try to take that on.
And really what that does do is through us training and educating everybody, law enforcement, fire, EMS, flight, going to a human doctor who probably will be overwhelmed at a dog that is actively trying to bite them, whether it's safe or not, is just delaying that dog's care. So the way all of the approvals that we have received through the state veterinary boards, state EMS, State Department of Health, all of these approvals that we had to go through to get this program up and running, the end-all be-all is it has to be definitive veterinary care. So if I start treating a dog in the field and it's more than just maybe a nick on the ear, that dog has to be transported to definitive care. It has to go to the hospital.
And I think Jeremy and Tim can both speak on this too, with them both being paramedics with a lot of knowledge base, that even with that, the mechanism's the same, but there's enough differences that without training, it could be dangerous.
Yeah, and absolutely, and I think that there is just enough difference. Like starting an IV is starting an IV, but starting an IV on somebody who is covered in fur, is really wiggly, pissed off because they're hurt, and have the ability to hurt me, that's an intimidating thing. And I can argue that Tim and I probably train more. We happen to, as we started this program, we started looking for options for bags because we knew we wanted to equip the handlers because that was the most effective way to get the equipment that we needed with the dog, and there just wasn't an option. So we went to a bag designer and built a custom designed bag specifically for canine medicine. And then those will all get issued out to the handlers for all the dogs that are under our program. So we'll talk about the IFAC and the individual first aid kit kind of when we're done with the presentation, so you guys can look at it and see it. If you have any questions, we can talk about that. And we'll talk about kind of the features that have been built into that. So community support matters. Like I said earlier, we're a nonprofit. We are completely funded by private donors. We've been very fortunate. We've had some very large donors that have afforded us the ability to equip 100 dogs with 100 bags. And we're still growing. Training and equipping everybody is gonna be the biggest thing. So, and we wanna make sure that everybody in the state, it's not just the municipalities, we're getting all like Yerington, Smith Valley, all of these agencies that are rural and small will have all the same equipment and training. So, next slide, please. We don't have business cards, but if anybody, we do have some flyers with us. We'll make sure you guys have those. And like I said, every dollar that we have had donated to us directly goes to the canines, to their handlers and or training fire and EMS providers to take care of these dogs. Our vision again is simple, just like our mission statement. We want a future where all operational canines get immediate access to advanced life-saving care in the field. So I think we're well on our way to that. Any questions? We started design, research and development on the bag. 4 weeks ago, we just got the prototype. We just met with the bag designer, revisions for the changes that we want to make. The bags will be fielded probably in April.
So do the kits come with training as well?
Yes,
Yeah.
that's a great question. It is.
And
So
the
we'll-
$1,000, does that cover both?
Sorry, go ahead.
The $1,000 for the kit, does that
Fully
cover the
equipped
training
bag.
and the bag?
Yeah, so all the
We don't-
training we're doing right now is free, so it's all just our time that we're,
Thank you.
that we're dedicating
Yeah.
to that.
We
So,
don't charge the agencies anything.
yeah, this is free to the canine groups. When we are issuing the bags, like Lyon County example, hey, we'll probably have to separate it. They like to have a few dogs available for calls, but let's have 3 guys come one day, go through every single item in the bag. We do utilize cadavers. And so they will be able to run through using all the equipment on the cadavers so that they are properly trained. It's not just a blind, here's your bag, never see you again. We'll also keep like serial numbers for all the drugs and things in the bag so that we can say, hey, your Narcan expires in 2 months, you need to meet so we can swap that out. And then we're planning on doing minimal yearly kind of recertifications with the bag, but probably honestly twice a year meeting with them to remind them how to use it.
So the other mission that we have to, as funding allows, is that if a canine officer is injured in the line of duty and the agency elects that, hey, the medical cost far out exceeds what our budget or our willingness to pay for that dog. So let's say the injury costs $20,000, but the agency's only willing to pay $40,000 or $10,000. Sorry, I don't math well. Our goal as we start to grow this would be that we would cover through a grant out of our account to cover the remaining cost of the dog, with the stipulation that the handler gets to keep their dog. And as long as the dog is going to have some kind of quality of life going forward. So that's kind of a couple of years out still, but we really are trying to make this all encompassing to support not only the handlers, but to give everybody else the knowledge, skill, and ability to take care of these dogs. Because as you saw just with Joker in here, they're pretty amazing in what they can do.
And my hospital, just like a plug for them, has been super accommodating as well. Anything that we discount more than about 15 to 20% is now at cost. and our hospital runs a 30% discount for any operational canine that comes in. So we do lose money on all of it, but it's an important cause for our hospital too. We're very pro law enforcement, and so that's something that the hospital I work at has very graciously agreed to accommodate as well for all these dogs.
Which hospital do you work at?
Animal Emergency and Specialty Center.
Is that on Virginia?
Neil, South Virginia.
Thank you.
And it's not just HRD dogs, we have HRD and apprehension, and we have arson detection dogs, we have dogs at the city, we have 5 dogs at the city of Reno now. I just found that out. We have 2 arson detection dogs, we have Mecco, and then we also have 2 what are called peer support dogs that are just there for
Like if a kid has to go to court, the dog can sit with them in the courtroom while they have to testify.
Yeah.
So.
pretty fascinating what these dogs will do. Any other questions?
Our website is in the works. It should be up in the next 1 to 2 weeks. I can tell you what it's going to be.
Okay.
It's going to be NVOP Canine. It's long. Sorry. Medgroup.org. We do
currently have the social media.
We do have an Instagram up, and the flyers I have a little QR code
Okay.
for that.
Any other questions about what we're doing? Yeah.
A little off the subject, but in this.
So this is Mecco. Mecco is a 4-year-old lab. As I said, we work with the Veteran Task Force, FEMA USAR team, and Mecco, as I was addressing before, we have live find and we have human remains. Mecco is our human remains dog. What's nice about these dogs is we don't put them in dangerous situations. So the live find, if we're in an area I need to send them into a building that's not structurally safe, and we have a good indication that there's someone alive in there, we're gonna send that dog in there to try to find the person that's still alive. For Mecco, we have a little more time. When we know that we're looking for human remains rather than someone alive, we don't have to put them in as dangerous of a situation. We would never put them inside a building that we can't see them, anything that's unsafe. So he's unique in that aspect. Very similar to the other canines, these dogs come to us at about $10,000. From there, there's a $8,000 stipend every year for them, medical and food that's provided for them. So at the end of the day, these dogs are roughly $100,000, and that's not including going on multiple deployments throughout the years.
And that's your cost, not the department that you're with.
That's what the feds cover those costs for these dogs. So there is a major cost component to these canines, and we're trying to not put that stress on the agencies to have to make that decision of letting this dog live or die. And as Chase was saying, this way.
What's HRD?
HRD stands for Human Remains Detection. As Chase was saying, we're with these canines. It's the same with me. I'm with this dog more than my family. I fly to work. This dog flies with me. He's with me 95% of my day, every single day. So it's not just the cost component that we're trying to mitigate, but it's also the handlers losing their part